What is up, Steeler fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Hangover. Hey, look at there. I think the Patriots just fumbled the ball again. Welcome back to the show. I'm Daniel. Alongside with me, Shannon White. Shannon, how are you doing on this Victory Monday?
Well, I'm just, as always, thankful to be here. And I was thankful the whole game for all the good fortune that the Steelers got and how giving the Patriots decided to be. They were just a real giving team yesterday. And I was very thankful for that because they Steelers needed every last one of them mistakes.
They definitely did. Steelers are victorious, 21-14. It took all 5 turnovers. I guarantee you, if they had 4 turnovers in that game, they don't win this game.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
I strongly believe that it took all 5, and this game was very reminiscent to a certain extent of the game against the Bengals a couple of years back, where the Steelers kept turning over the ball, blocking field goals, and they went into overtime, and
Yes.
and then the Steelers end up winning in overtime. Kind of like a little bit too much luck versus what you would, you want to win. You expect the ball and you want the ball to bounce in your favor, but it's a little bit more too much of relying on luck, in my opinion. 21-14. Let's start off with the way the Steelers started out, scoring 2 touchdowns on their first drive, getting a sack and a turnover right away. How are you feeling at the first quarter of that game?
I was really happy because what you can control every game is your effort.
Yeah.
And as you said, I'll use the word luck, fluky. My wife's all the time like, well, we need a strip sack, or we need a tipped interception, or I'm like, that's all fluky stuff. You can't count on that. If that's the only way you're winning, I want execution. I want a solid game plan and a team playing in a cohesive unit and being effective, moving the ball up and down the field, or playing good defense. And that's what it looked like at the beginning there. So I was very encouraged by that.
Yeah, I was too, man. The first thing that went through my mind was, this is why you play preseason. Everything we've seen up to this point is because of preseason. And then I was reminded that the defense was struggling. Now, they only put up 14 points, the Patriots. However, if it wasn't for the execution aspect of it, of holding on to the ball, it would have been a lot more. I mean, how many of those turnovers were at the goal line? You know what I'm saying? Those were scoring opportunities that were taken off of the board. I mean, it is it could have very easily have been another 30-plus performance by the opposing offense.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't give up the ball so much. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then how does this game look like in that light, right? It's not that great. It's not that great. But let's start off with what they kind of started to fix in the beginning. Peyton Wilson seemed to be benched to begin the game. Cole Holcomb started the game. What did you think about the move? And do you think that's a move that we're going to continue to see moving forward?
Well, again, I don't blame Peyton Wilson for the struggles at the beginning of the season. The Steelers wanted move linebackers, sideline to sideline, all around linebackers that can play the run and the pass. But the defensive line has to do their job. And even yesterday, the Patriots outplayed the Steelers every way, except they couldn't hold on to the football. And they got some really stupid penalties. They give the game away, and I'm glad they did, because while you're trying to, like you said, no preseason, they're trying to find their footing and rhythm. If you could win 2 games, they could easily be 0-3 right now. So I'll definitely take 2-1, but they could need a ton of growth. I wanted Holcomb to be playing anyway. Holcomb needed to be a more regular part of this rotation. And so if that's what they feel like they need to do to try to help stop the run, I thought he played well. Now, against the pass, that's just it, Daniel. You watched the Patriots say, okay, Benton is a weak spot. We attack Benton. Holcomb is not good in coverage as Wilson. They threw to Henry all over Holcomb. Anytime Holcomb was matched up on Henry, they threw it to him. Other teams know our weaknesses. We're predictable. They see the Steelers getting in these formations, and they're like, okay, we're going there with the football. They got James Pierre matched up with Stephon Diggs. Guess what they did? They threw it to Stephon Diggs. Teams create mismatches, and then they exploit mismatches. The Steelers don't do that. They refuse to do that, or they're incapable. I don't know. But I was encouraged that Harmon looked really well. So I think Harmon's going to be a strong point on the line. Hayward is in shape more. That was his best game easily. Cam Hayward, because he's getting back in game shape. The weak link, there was two of them. Loudermilk's no longer around. And Benton is still the weak link.
I don't disagree with you with Benton. I think he is definitely, a hindrance right now on the defense. He's the weaker link. I think with Wyatt Black coming in and Derek Harmon
and Equality
playing in his first game.
Equality looked good too.
Yeah. Equality did look good. I think the defensive line did look better. One of the touchdown passes, though, it was either on Patrick Queen or Peyton Wilson. They were both looking at each other on that one. I think it was one of them.
Yeah, they just laid him right down the middle. Yeah.
And so it is. It's frustrating, man, because it's not just they're moving the ball, but it's how they're moving the ball too. Offenses are being forced with third and long, and it's to the point where it's like the longer the third down, the more likely they're going to get it. And it's crazy that way. I mean, there's some third and longs that I would not have expected the Steelers to give up. And when they didn't give up necessarily the full 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16, they made it 4th and 1. And the Titans, the Patriots, I was thinking because of Averill. The Patriots were successful on 4 out of 5 of those, minus the last one, obviously. But
one more thing, what you said, 3rd and 5 or more is considered longer, yardage. Your percentages drop. The Steelers are the worst in the NFL right now by a large margin on 3rd and 5, letting people convert on those situations. That is a schematic problem, Daniel.
Yeah.
Because it's different personnel. It's different. They had the same problem last year. Usually you get a team in 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14. We're coming off the field, right?
Yeah.
No, this defense, schematically, teams know what to prepare for, and they know the weak spots, and they attack them, and they convert at a very high, disturbingly high percentage.
You're absolutely right. It is. It's insane. And then, and then how much respect they went for it 4th down and their own 15.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, that's how much they didn't respect the defense, and that's how much they weren't respecting the offense, and that they could hold the Steelers' offense to 3 at that point. It was a really, really. I'm looking for a word that I can say on the air. It was a move with courage, and he had a lot of courage with that move. And the Steelers almost stopped him on that play, but again, some of the missed tackling in the backfield allowed these running backs and some of these players to get out again. They allowed for another 100-yard rusher. That's even with Derek Harmon and Wyatt Black in there, another 100-yard rusher, and Booty was killing him. I mean, it was nothing. That's all you heard was just running here, Booty there. It was
which running back had 100?
Oh gosh, which one was it? It was the
I know Stevenson.
Oh no, as a team. I'm sorry, as a team.
Yeah, as a team they did. Yes. But I thought the run defense was better. Benton is still a huge liability. And teams run right at him. If you watch, they don't really go to Watt's side at all. They don't. And they double Hayward on run plays. Because now you got Herbig, who's he's a little light. He's great pass rusher, not as good at setting edge. And so they go right at Benton and that side. And like you said, Queen, I thought had a better game. But there's still a lot of holes there. There's things they got to work on.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things that they got to work on. It's good to work on those things on a victory. That's for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Jabril Peppers is a new member to the team. He was there last week, but mainly his focus was on special teams. This week, I think he had more of an impact on defense. Came up with the fumble recovery early in the first quarter or in the first half. You know, what do you think about Jabril Peppers? How do you think he's going to be implemented moving forward? I don't know if Deshaun Elliott's going to play this week against the Vikings. There's the bye week after that, but eventually Deshaun Elliott is coming back. Where do you see, with the performance of Jabril Peppers this past week, what kind of role do you see him having?
Well, I think he'll be in the rotation. He brings a physical tone like Elliott does.
Mm-hmm.
And because Thornhill and Clark, Clark dropped 2 interceptions.
He did.
One of them wouldn't have counted. It was a penalty, but we didn't know it at the time. But then the other one, he acted like he intercepted it, but he didn't. But he tried to sell it. But with this to replay, that don't work anymore. But
yeah.
They're going to have to. These guys, when they have a chance to make a play, they're going to have to make it, because the pass rushes you see, if they can have the tighter coverage, they didn't have JPJ, but if they have him and Ramsey and Slay and Eccles, they should be able to play some tight men. And that will give the safeties opportunities for interceptions, combined with the pass rush. So they're going to have to come down with them. But I really like Peppers. I like his physicality, his attacking downhill style. And I think there's a place for him. I think he'll dress and be part of the rotation regardless when, everybody's back in there playing and healthy, because they're going to need him off.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought he looked good out there. I thought he played well. He fit in right away, causing turnovers and being a part of the turnover plan.
And he's good on special teams.
He is. He is. Drake May, he had 7 carries for 45 yards. Another mobile quarterback-ish. I don't necessarily think you look at Drake May and think that, he's going to be a guy that's going to be putting up the stats rushing, but he's very much capable of doing so, of running, obviously. How concerned are you about this mobility aspect from the quarterback position being an issue for this defense? They got to face the Ravens twice. This has been now, first Justin Fields kind of ran all over him, and then Drake May was able to do some things with his legs. Granted, he also was the one that fumbled the ball there at the end. But are you concerned at all about their inability to control a mobile quarterback?
Well, you kind of got to pick your poison. They have been really good at stopping running quarterbacks, but that's playing a lot of zone in the past. Well, now they have, they're going to be playing man. Now, when you're playing man, your back is to the quarterback. So it's up to every player to keep lane integrity, the rush lanes, and not let the quarterback get outside. Because if you do, like, I don't know if the one time, if you remember, Watt circled in to try to get a pass rush, which he needs to do at times. But it needs to be planned, because then that defensive end, on this case, I can't remember who it was, needs to keep outside contained, because that was some play that May rolled out and outran Herbig. Herbig tried to get him from behind and couldn't catch him, and May run for the first down. Now, that's going to happen with a very fast, athletic quarterback like May, much less, as you say, when we play Lamar Jackson's ways. So it bothers me that they don't have a spy on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the ways on like third and certain distances, the easiest way, if that quarterback gets past that initial pass rush, he can easily run for the first down. But that's why you have a spy. And they've done it in the past, but this year they didn't spy Fields and they didn't spy May yesterday. Now, if you notice there, that last fumble that May had when he got sacked by Herbig.
Yeah.
Did you see what Watt was doing?
Oh, yeah. He
went into the middle of the field, and he was spying on May. So if May would have got past Herbig, I think Watt would have had him right there. And then Watt fell on the fumble.
Yeah, he definitely did. And um, it was a what was it? I was watching James Harrison and oh God, what's his name? Joe Hayden. They have a podcast together,
Yeah.
and they were calling it football justice because the there was a play that had just happened earlier than that. I think it was a holding play that they didn't call, and they ended up getting like a first down or
Yeah,
something.
he
of that
held
nature.
what? He grabbed his jersey. Yeah, well, that's the play where one of the plays where May got outside there.
Yeah, and so he was kind of like, "Oh well, football justice. You shouldn't have gotten that fourth down conversion, and well now we got the ball back." And so the Steelers go down and score with that. End up getting the scoring touchdown there. But
how many 3 and outs did they have, Daniel? I mean, it was
oh
like
gosh,
they just hung the defense out to dry. They had at one point in the fourth, they had the ball 11 minutes longer than the Steelers.
Yeah.
And it run almost twice as many plays. The Steelers kept 3 and out, 3 and out. And, Rodgers was frustrated. The players are frustrated. I'm sitting at home like you, I know, frustrated.
Yeah.
Because, it's like new players, new personnel, same crap. It's like they have moments they look like they have a plan. Maybe it was scripted. The first couple of drives are usually scripted.
Yeah.
And then once they got past that, they were not effective.
They definitely weren't. It was like they were put on ice. All of a sudden, they couldn't do anything, and it was just really poor. But before we go to the offense, still kind of on the defensive side, with all these issues, what is the fix? I mean, how can they fix these third and long situations? I know that a lot of people are going to look at Terrell Austin and maybe he's the scapegoat, but it's not his defense. It's Tomlin's defense. Steelers aren't going to get rid of Tomlin. So what can happen to make this better for this team? Like, or is this indicative of what we're going to see the entire year? A defense performance that's not at their pay grade.
Because honestly, without all those turnovers, that was a bad performance by the defense.
I agree.
I mean, yes, they did force the turnovers, but those are fluky.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, because some of them they've already got the first down or were right at getting the first down, and then they fumbled or, the ball was tipped. That would have been a touchdown, but Hayward got his finger on it and let Eccles get in front of the guy for the interception. I mean, it's that close. When you're ever plays by the skin of your teeth, you're living and dying. The running back for is it last name not Henderson Stevenson. Yeah, if he hadn't had them 2 fumbles, especially the one right on the goal line, he was scoring.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, that was a gift. That was a gift. So here's the hope. Okay, the hope is you get Elliott back, you get JPJ back, eventually you get Highsmith back. Harmon gets back in shape, and that knee continues to get better. Hayward gets in shape. We've seen Watt kind of come to life a little bit. We see that Herbie's got to get more play. Herbie gonna pass it down. He's a disruptor. I mean, it's hard to block that guy. And you can count on that pass rush there. And once the secondary, all them new guys kind of start to gel, hopefully they'll start to be better. Because we said, like we said last week, before the season, in the offseason, I was like, they need to change the coaching staff. Definitely a new defensive coordinator. Somebody that ain't going to be Tomlin's puppet. And the Rooney's decided, no, we're going to stick with the coaching staff. So I'm afraid we kind of are stuck with what we got this year.
I don't disagree.
But there is hope for improvement. Like I said, we'll get some of these healthy bodies back.
Yeah.
And finally have some cohesiveness. And, this is not only did they not play in the preseason, but they're all new. Half of them have never played together before. So a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of maybe some struggles there. But again, how far off was our corners? I mean, May was just picking them apart because they're not playing tight man. One guy's playing man, everybody else is playing off man or zone. I mean, I understand mixing it up, but you got to play the modern game. You got to play closer, tighter coverage.
Yeah, it was definitely, it seemed like the receivers for the Patriots were more open, had more space than the Steelers. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Both
of the touchdown passes, he had to put them in perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was there. He just he dropped it right over on both of those catches. If not, that would have been an ugly game.
It definitely would have. And to me, though, I get it. You have a defensive lineman that is out, but this is supposed to be a really in-depth, not a depth on the defensive line. That was one of the things that was being spoken about. I know we've had some injuries or whatnot. Middle linebacker group, the linebacker group was supposed to be pretty deep also with the Nick Herbig and Sawyer and the inside linebacker group. Defensive backs, this supposedly was the deepest, defense. Terrell Austin came out talking about how deep the defense was. Everybody has injuries, but I don't see everybody's defense falling apart like this because of a couple of injuries.
But the Steelers are all about name recognition.
I don't disagree.
If you watch, what are we always talking about? Watt made a play. Hayward made a play. Highsmith made a play. Ramsey made a play. But you watch other teams, like you name me anybody off the Vikings defense. Name me anybody off of
Rodgers.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's schematics, and there's interchangeable pieces. You can move guys around, and the defense still have a standard line of the way they play. They are committed to the scheme. The Steelers, it's all about we need a superstar to make a big play, and that's why they're paying too much for their defense.
See, to me, I think it's more than that. I don't. I think that the players that they have, even the depth, I think they were right. I think they got some excellent players. I think the problem is the scheme, and it's solely the scheme. I think it's old. I think it's figured out. I think teams know the blueprint to beat it, and the Steelers aren't adjusting to it for whatever reason. I wouldn't be surprised if after the bye week, because that's how this team works. If they have a short week, if they have there's a bye week coming, that's when they decide to do these preps and inward look and make changes and do things. That's when it's always happened in the past, like if they make any changes, and usually the changes they make, they'll come in saying, oh, we're going to make some changes, and then we got a new gunner or something. And so
exactly.
It's the most minor of things. To me, I think that's the problem. I mean, you're going to have the best players in the world, but if you know what they're going to do based on what you show them, and you can manipulate to get things open, you're going to have all these quarterbacks like a Justin Fields, like a Drake May, like Sam Darnold, look like MVP type quarterbacks. I mean, I know that, Darnold threw a couple of interceptions there, but he looked sharp. He was throwing the ball all over the place. Same with May. He was 28 of 37, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had an interception there off of a tip, which I do think that Eccles really, really did, sell that and got him to bite. But, to me, I think it's more
if that ball had not been tipped,
else.
I don't think he intercepts it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because it definitely slowed down.
It did.
I think because he let him get ahead of him, because Levis has a strong arm.
Yeah.
So if he really was able to really gun that in there, I think that Eccles would have missed it. Let's just put it that way. But we'll never know. But thankfully, he did tip it.
Yeah. And so to me, I mean, you can have the best players in the world, like I said, but if you can manipulate where they're at, and I mean, how many times have we seen a linebacker on a number one wide receiver out there? It's happened so many times, and yet it's something that's never fixed.
Yeah.
But
that's stubbornness.
It is.
It's just stubbornness. It's like, how many times have we heard, we don't care what the other team's doing. We're doing our football, Steelers football. And it bothers me that not only will they not recognize a mismatch, like I said, teams attack the mismatches they create against the Steelers all the time.
Yeah.
Not only either the Steelers don't recognize them, or they're not confident enough to attack those mismatches. And, like you say, well, they did throw the fade to Mount Washington there against that little cornerback in the end zone. Yeah. Of course, Rodgers threw it too high, but he got the penalty. But that's what I'm talking about. At least they tried that. Half the time they'll have a mismatch on the outside, and they won't even go to it.
Yeah.
In my case, if Metcalf's 1-on-1 and he don't have safety help over the top, I'm throwing it.
No, I don't disagree with you. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Defensively, they got the Vikings coming up next. They got a new quarterback there, Carson Wentz. To me, it's a scary situation to have a new quarterback against Mike Tomlin's defense. Yeah. Mike Tomlin with new quarterbacks in, it's not always worked out very well. He plays them as if they were the starting quarterback and that nothing's going to change. And this one's it's in Ireland. It's across the pond. I'm a little bit concerned about this game. The Vikings put up a 40-something points on the Bengals, who don't have the greatest defense. So you gotta put that out there as well. Do you see them improving enough between now and next week, or just including the travel time that they have to put into it?
Well, the Steelers, a lot of people don't realize this. They're really bad on the West Coast. And they have not been played very well when they went across the water either.
No.
They're much better in the Eastern time zone. The farther they get away from the Eastern time zone, the record drops precipitously.
Yeah.
So, and I know last time they were in England, London, I think it was, they didn't get over till like Saturday.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the guys said that they had the early start anyway, the time zone difference and jet lag, and they looked it. They were just flat. So I'd love to see them get over there Friday, like a lot of teams do, or even earlier, and get their rhythms kind of back to normal. That's one of my biggest concerns. Is they struggle just going to the West Coast. Going across the water is going to be even worse, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I think the Vikings are like undefeated in international games. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk more about the offense and what we saw in this past game and the victory over the New England Patriots. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Steelers Hangover. Before we get back into the conversation, I want to remind you guys of our website, SteelCurrentNetwork.com, your one-stop shop for Pittsburgh Steelers news and coverage. Go check it out. And while you're there, you can check out our audio-only podcasts, which include mine, State of the Steelers, which airs out on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Go check it out. It's a preview before the final game, so you don't want to miss it. It's only on the audio side. There's a lot of other content on the audio-only side, so make sure you guys go out there and check it out. So transitioning over to the offensive side, they ran the ball pretty effectively in the first quarter. I think that there was a change of philosophy in the running game. Jalen Warren had 18 carries versus Kenneth Gainwell with 4. Aaron Rodgers ended up having 4 carries as well, but that was more out of necessity. It wasn't anything designed there. So 18-4 as far as the carries go rushing wise. I think Arthur Smith heard the noise a little bit about everybody complaining that there's no rhythm being allowed. It's just constant moving of the running backs and multiple players, not allowing a groove to be set. I felt like it was a better performance by the running backs, especially early on. This was supposed to be a very top-notch defense against the run. I think they were ranked 3rd going into the game. What did you think about the running game? They ended up only with 64 yards on the day on 26 carries. So not the best performance overall, but what did you think?
It started out pretty good.
It did.
And then it was just one thing I noticed right off the bat, started the second half. New England was much more aggressive on early downs, committing to stopping the run. And Warren, or it didn't matter who, couldn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. I think that the Patriots made the halftime adjustments, the Steelers didn't. The Patriots are like Vrabel's a very smart coach. And he's like, this offensive line is not good. And all we got to do is press them, and there won't be anywhere for them to go. And I don't even know, did they have any successful rushes in the second half? I can't remember it.
Well, they became – I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that to me, I mean, I think that usage is more what there needs to be as far as using more and much more, because he's obviously their best back, especially running the ball. But Rodgers is running for his life, and he don't have time to let any of the receivers come open or find them. Some of them are coming open. He can't see them, just like Ben's the last few years, and every quarterback since then, they're running for their life. The biggest problem on offense by far is this offensive line is not cohesive. They are not executing. They're not playing up the stuff. You'll have 3 guys in the 2-point stance and 2 their hand down. I mean, you just don't know. It'd be like 3 of the guys think they're doing an outside run zone, and that's how they're blocking. Another 2's blocking like it's going to be something interior. I mean, it's like there is no cohesiveness to this offensive line. They are 5 players, not a cohesive group. They do not play well together. They do not do combo blocks well together. Right now, the offense is being severely limited by the offensive line, and nothing's going to change till that improves.
Yeah. Yeah, the offensive line is definitely terrible, but I think a big part of why they were struggling is they became very predictable. They were throwing very short on first down, even behind the line of scrimmage, and then running it on second and long. And it was almost clockwork. Like, all right, well, we know they're going to run. And I understand the philosophy there. They're like, all right, well, we don't want to pass and then either get knocked further back or have an incompletion and be stuck with a 3rd and long. But that's playing in your fears. That's not playing to win. That's playing not to lose. And it took 5 turnovers for this team not to lose. You're not going to get that every week.
No.
and it's a disappointing showing. The offensive line is disappointing. Pat Meyer, I think, has to have the warmest seat amongst the coaching staff at this point. I mean, this is how many first rounders, how many high draft picks does he have? He has 2 first rounders on the tackles. He's got a center that could have been a first round pick, high second round, who's, apparently his physical attributes and his abilities have been, very high. Aaron Rodgers talks highly about his intelligence and what he sees out there, and yet they can't put it together. And you got struggles across the board. Frazier is struggling. Fautanu's struggling. I think Broderick is looking better than the other guys in certain points, and that's not saying much. And so, I'm disappointed in the offensive line as well. I think Rodgers has looked skittish at points now because of it. I think he's line. I don't blame him. I mean, the amount of times he's gotten hit, he didn't get a sack. There wasn't a sack register, but as I said, he had 4 carries. They ain't designed runs.
Well, the thing, if you look at, he threw 2 touchdowns.
He did.
Both passes, he goes back like 3 steps, and he throws it ahead of time and drops it in the bucket along the sidelines. 1 to Metcalf, 1 to Austin. Why he had to do that is he cannot take a 5-step drop, step up comfortably in the pocket, and throw down the field. His interception, Broderick allowed pressure right inside immediately. He overset to the outside. The guy cut right between him and Seumalo and was in Rodgers' face, and Roger threw off his back foot. And, he's got that arm talent, and he tries to, and he didn't ever even see Spillane at all, and threw it right to him. But that's what happens. A guy wants to try to make a play, and he's like, well, if I get the ball quick enough, we could, get a big play. And Rodgers has had 2 other would have been interceptions dropped, where he threw it right to the guy, and the guy dropped it. Yeah. One of them was last week you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's because he's throwing the ball before he's not trusting what he sees, because he's getting that instant pressure. because Samalu is grading out bad. If you watch Samalu, he looks like he's hit the wall. McCormick has not took the step up that I hoped for. Fautano looked good week 1, did not look good week 2, and he struggled this game. Jones, he's had a couple of good reps, but he gave up back-to-back pressures, instantaneous, back-to-back plays. One of them being the interception. What's the play before that? I mean, it's like you think that they would have a week of practice, they'd work on it and everything, and then they would come back and they would at least be better in their double teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their fundamentals would improve. And, as long as the effort's there. But it's like every week's a new week. You don't know what to expect because you just know they're going to be bad. And again, I think, as you say, that has to fall back on Meyer.
Yeah.
And Meyer, it's, put up or shut up. We got to see something.
Yeah, we definitely do. You brought up the interceptions or would-be interceptions that Rodgers has thrown. I was going to bring them up too. I was going to say, he's had some passes that should have been intercepted. He's had some bad throws. And is it because he's not seeing the field right? Is it because he's getting a little bit jittery based on what the offensive line is doing? Either way, it's not looking good either. So some of those throws that he had during the time when there was 3 and out and he was trying to push the ball down the field didn't come out too accurate either. Even the touchdown pass to Calvin Austin, I thought he should have let him out in front. Did a back shoulder pass, and he even mentioned it afterwards that he didn't throw the best. He didn't put the ball in the best position.
Yeah.
But is that because he's getting fatigued, he's tired, his arm's getting tired, or is that because he's looking at his offensive line? I think it could be either or both. But it needs to change because offensively, this defense isn't what we thought they were going to be right now. Now, can they develop? Can they learn? Can they gel and get better? And maybe perhaps by the end of the season, we're going to look back at the first quarter of the season and be like, hey, remember when they kind of sucked in the beginning, but then they got their stuff together? I hope that's the case. But right now, they're not looking historic, as Mike Tomlin said in the beginning of the season. It's looking pretty bad. And performances like this, where you're constantly putting your defense out there, especially some of these guys are up there in age. Slay got injured for a little bit. I think he ended up taking friendly fire by one of the other teammates, kicked him by accident. I think it was Harmon, actually. You're going to have those things happen the longer you have this older group out there for an extended period of time. It's a huge concern. I know
what
that
else is concerning is when the guys are older.
Yeah.
And the offense is not carrying their weight again this year. The defense is out there way too much. You got attrition. Guys wear down. Guys, that are playing more minutes than we expected. That's why you've seen Leal in there, and you've seen, as you say, Peppers and Clark, and I mean they're had to just rotate all these guys because they're exhausted. We see Sawyer, who did not really flash in good or bad this week like he did last week, but he's had to give TJ a rest here and there.
Yeah.
And Herbie also needs rest, so that's why you had to put in Leal, who is kind of, he don't really bring anything. But you got to give these guys some rest because it's a long season.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if the offensive line can somehow gel, do some team activities. I mean, as far as those 5 guys hang out and you see and hear other teams that like to do things together. They need to get closer. I've seen the Rodgers and the receivers working out this offseason. And I've seen the defensive guys that do that. I didn't see the offensive line hanging out.
Yeah.
They need to bond. They need to gel. And stand up for each other and be there. I mean, one thing I think I'll give Broderick Jones credit for. He kept letting Rodgers get hit, but he kept picking him up.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, at least this year he's picking his guy up. He said, I'll let you get hit, but I'll pick you up off the ground.
There you go. You won't be on there for long. We talked about this a little bit earlier, that when the pass catchers for the Patriots, it seemed like they just had more space between them and the defensive backs. That's not the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers pass catchers. It's like every pass is almost a contested pass there. Do you think? What do you think the problem is? Do you think it's a problem of the X's and O's or the Joes? Is it the scheme not getting them open, or is it the players not being good enough? And if it's the players not being good enough, at this point, don't you expect Komar Khan to make some sort of decision on the wide receiver too, somewhere outside of the organization, and bring that person in?
I think they could use a little. Again, Roman Wilson looked like he might do a little something in the preseason. He's been invisible in the regular season. I think they haven't been out there. They've had so many 3 and outs, and their time of possession is not good. So they haven't run enough offensive plays to try to work him in very often. Rodgers hasn't had time to go through his progressions to find receiver 2 or 3. He's locked onto one, or it's So, I still think it's a lot of X's and O's. But you have to say both, because the offensive line is limiting what Arthur Smith can call, what Aaron Rodgers can check to at the line of scrimmage. There's certain places he cannot check to because he knows he will not have the protection at the time to execute that play. So I don't think Rodgers, he's saying the right things, but if you look at him in the face, he's very frustrated. We've seen that look before. Quarterbacks are frustrated when their offensive line can't protect them, and they have no faith.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I think DK had a really good game. I think he caught everything that was thrown to him. Actually, he just had one that wasn't, but he had a contested pass that was caught in the end zone there. That was very impressive. He had another play where he caught it like a screen play. He's pretty effective in those. You get the ball in DK's hands, he's going to make some moves. I got a question for you though. Who's the starting tight end, Jonnu Smith or Pat Freiermuth?
What is it, 1 and 1A? I mean, I think Jonnu's been more effective.
Jonnu's been out there more. Jonnu's had at least 10 to 12 snaps more than Pat Freiermuth in each game.
I think he's more effective. He's more of your kind of another wide receiver too, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And Freiermuth has not really been effective. When he does catch the ball, it's what, 6 yards. It's just a little. He's not. They're not really attacking down the field with Freiermuth. Like they did finally throw one down the seam to Smith, I think, for 20.
Yeah.
So, but either one of them could block to save their life. Just to be honest.
Yeah.
Neither one of them could block. The only one that could block is Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some times there where we saw Rodgers get a little bit colorful out there, a little excited. Do you think it's a matter of time before he blows up on some of these mistakes? One of them was at Freiermuth for not either stopping where he wanted him to stop.
He didn't settle. Yeah.
Do you think it's just a matter of time if these problems continue? Do you think we're going to see a full-on Rodgers blowout?
That's who he is, as far as he is vocal. Mm-hmm. See, Ben can never be vocal. Because every time Ben got vocal with any of the players, a lot of the fans, certain segment, got their panties in a bunch. That, he criticized the guy on this podcast, or he did this or that. Now you can get over it with Rodgers because he's going to do it.
Yeah,
and he gets animated on the field, and he was right. If Freiermuth, there was a corner on the boundary on the sideline. If Freiermuth would have just settled where he threw the ball, that's the first down.
Yeah.
But Freiermuth kept fading and floating, and floated right into the cornerback. So even if he had a chance to maybe catch it, probably the corner would have knocked it away.
Yeah.
Calvin Austin coming back in the field of play last week to deflect the ball that got intercepted. That ball wasn't even thrown to him. So some of these guys are making mental mistakes. They're not on the same page yet. But again, they didn't play in the preseason together, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So I understand Rodgers getting frustrated. Now, is he throwing a temper tantrum, crybaby fit like Pickens used to? No. To me, he's just saying, and he told him, settle, being a gesture like it, that doesn't bother me because he's not showing anybody up.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want. That could hurt the locker room. I think it happened in New York because that was just 2 years of total frustration. I don't think he's close to that in Pittsburgh yet.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully they turn a corner and they start moving in the right direction. Offensively, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to tell right now. First game, it seemed like they kind of took a turn. Against Seattle, it was a little bit frustrating. Against the Patriots, it started off really good. It ended up really good. But that whole middle piece was just so bad that it just kind of makes you feel like they took a step backwards. Where are you, do you think? What is their trajectory? Do you think they're heading in the right direction? Do you think they're kind of plateaued right now? Or do you think they're going backwards?
I don't think they're going backwards because they've never really got anywhere yet. I mean, honestly, Daniel, the success they had against the Jets was a lot of mistakes the Jets made in communication and coverage. Mm-hmm. And the Steelers got some really easy scores. But they didn't protect him there either. Offensive line was still really bad.
Yeah.
Then against the Seattle, they played competitive. They tried, but then they made two massive mistakes that blew the game out. It got out of hand. Against the Patriots, for the first time, I was really encouraged in first two drives. I thought they're really starting to find a rhythm. And as you say, without preseason, that was about the time you expect them to start finding a rhythm. But then the other team's like, okay, we'll just adjust. And the Steelers couldn't handle the adjustment. They were not prepared. And they were easily thrown out of that rhythm, which is good quality fundamental football. We seen it for two drives. And then it went away. And even in the end, if we remember, the Jets defense had 3 penalties on them that kept that first drive alive. Remember?
Yeah.
So it easily could have not been as much the Steelers as it was the Patriots making those mistakes on that first drive. So
yeah,
I can't say they're regressing because they've never got anywhere yet to regress from. But I hope that they're, with the health of the players, getting some of these guys back, the cohesiveness of finally playing together. This is like their third preseason game. Getting to play together. I'm hoping they're going to progress, but right now I haven't seen anything yet that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. It's this is very much reminiscent of like the last few years, whether it was Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, not so much Mr. Trubisky. Mr. Trubisky, I was done with him right away. But the other guys, their offense, it was just kind of like, like I don't know. I don't know if they're moving in the right direction. I don't know if they're staying where they're at or if they're moving back. It was like very much a couple steps forward, couple steps backwards, maybe one step forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes they take a few steps, and then they plateau. And it was, it's been like that feeling, and it feels like that again, where there's a little bit of flashes here and there of a team that can put it together, but they can't maintain it. It's kind of like losing weight, I guess. It's easy to lose it, but it's hard to keep it lost. It's kind of like that. They get good, but then I don't know if it's the players just kind of, backing out, not so much backing out, but like maybe losing that drive, that hunger. Like, all right, we got it. It's third and long. We're going to get off the field, kind of relaxed, take a step back. And next thing you know, it's a 15-yard play and a first down. That's kind of the sensation that I get with this team. I get that they'll go out there and they'll have a strong performance one week, and then the next week come out there and expect everything to be given to them. And that's kind of how it feels even in the short term, where you have 2 drives that went really, really well. and then they just kind of live off of that success for the majority of the game. And it's not a formula for success. I don't think so.
That's absolutely accurate. I said after the first, they were up 14-0.
Yeah.
And they kicked off, and I told my wife, I said, this is going to tell me if this is real or not. I said, the Steelers' pattern is they can't be up by more than 10 points. And if they let the Patriots go right down the field and score, that's going to tell me a lot. And the Patriots went right down the field, and I can't remember exactly what happened on that, but they drove all the way down. I think it was the drive that was from the 6. And they drove, and the only reason they didn't score was the tip and the interception.
Yeah.
But I said, well, that was great. I said, but now we're going to see in this second half, can they handle the adjustments? And they were not prepared.
Yeah.
And so, what scares me, Daniel, is we've talked about it for a while. All these different players, a whole new roster from just 6 years ago. And it's the same product. It looks so much the same. And I'm afraid, like you see Arthur Smith's influence in ways, but it's still old school conservative, right?
Yeah.
You look at the defense, it's still overly reliant on certain players. These guys have got to make plays or the Steelers are going to get killed. And then you start wondering, is it ever going to change as long as Tomlin's there? Because, it all flows from him. And his stubbornness, and he don't even like answering questions. He's getting to the point now that he gets frustrated with the questions. But that's part of the job. I mean, the media is trying to get answers for the fans. And the fans want answers, and he thinks that they don't deserve answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's my team. We know what we're doing. I got this. Well, it's the same crap over and over and over and over. It's everybody keeps saying Groundhog Day. And, what's going to be the excuse if it gets worse this year? What if it turns into a 7-10 season? Is that what's going to have to happen to get somebody to say? Because the game can pass anybody by.
Well, I'll say this. The Steelers fan base is a powerful one. And they got the Steelers to do something they don't normally do, which is fire a coach in the middle of the season. Because a fire Matt Canada chant, not only went off in every game, but started to go off in college games and hockey games and basketball.
Yes.
It's insane. Became a thing that was happening. I don't think they're going to be chanting to fire any more coordinators at this point. I think if there's a chant, it's going to be for the guy at the top, and it's going to be Tomlin. I think everybody's frustrated with it. The offense has been the same, as you mentioned, whether it was Randy Fichtner, Matt Canada, or now Arthur Smith. It's just, I would say Arthur Smith is a little bit different. It's quite a bit different as far as the personnel and the usage with the tight ends and things of that nature. But, 21 points, 17
football.
points. No, it's not. They got 30-something points in the first game. But since then it's 17, 21. It's kind of what they've been accustomed to here in the last few years. Hope to get to 20. If you get to 20, you might win. That type of situation. And the defense has gotten older, and it looked like they've gotten older a little bit at this point. Even before the time of possession was kind of sloppy. The Patriots, even though they were turning the ball over and, in the first couple drives, they didn't get points. It kind of felt like they were on the brisk of starting.
Oh yeah.
Even in those first two drives. And like you mentioned, that one drive that took forever. And then they had another, they had several long.
They had an 8-minute drive. Yeah.
And that also messes with the, the formula for the offense, the rhythm too. And so it's got to change. I still got faith in my team. I'm still going to be rooting for them, but I'm like little bit cautious when it comes to the offense and the offensive line. Even the defense. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about this team.
I'm honest. I love the Steelers. Everybody knows. I know we all do. That's always been my team, and I'm honest about it. And I want to feel like this is a contending team. They're heading in the right direction. Even if they have a losing season, I want to say, okay, this young player is developing. He's the next star.
Yeah.
And this scheme, they're learning. It's getting better. They're running it efficiently and effectively. You know, fundamentally, they're sound in this. And there's always going to be little hiccups, but they're heading, as you said earlier, in the right direction. I want to feel that again. I honestly haven't felt that in years. I mean, years. I thought so at the one preseason, as we talked about. And then that was the ultimate fool's gold, as we said in the title of the show tonight. One of the local sports beat reporters said today, and I'm not going to name names, but he said that you can't make Steeler fans happy. That even when we win, we're complaining. It ain't about just winning. Those teams that lose great games right at the end. It was a great game, and they lose on a last-second field goal. You know, a fluky play. Kind of like when the Steelers beat the Jets. The Jets were encouraged at how well they played because they thought this was a great defense, which it's turned out it hasn't been. But they thought that they really did good against a great defense. But at least they had that feeling. I want that feeling. And it's not that I'm not thankful that they won. I would much rather be 2-1, and you could easily be 0-3.
That's true.
But if we're being honest, the 2-1, you don't feel good because easily, like we said, it could be 0-3. So I think we all want to see consistent execution. When we see consistent execution, if it happens more, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, then it's a trend. Then you're heading in the right direction. Sporadic, as you said earlier, we see a good drive here and there and then a bunch of bad drives. That don't mean anything. It's kind of fluky. Usually if they have a long drive, they get a good call on the opposing defense. It helps keep the drive alive. See, I don't feel good about that because it ain't nothing you did. It's they made a mistake.
Yeah.
I want to see the Steelers execute and have success based on their own merit. And then I'll feel better about it.
I'm with you, my man. I'm with you. I'm hoping they can get this going in the right direction. I think they got the talent to do so. I hope they can keep the talent healthy too at the same point. But it's they got a short week in my opinion because they got a long traveling day.
Oh yeah.
And, that's got to do something to their plans. Taking a whole day out. I hope the Steelers take a page out of. I think it was the Vikings that did it last time. Was they went real early. Like Wednesday or Tuesday or something like that. I mean, the Steelers have a bye week the next week. They're off the entire week.
So go early, yeah.
Go early, get it done, and then you got 2 weeks off. I mean, you probably could take your family up there, spend the week in Ireland, or come back and get ready for football.
Something different, yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so I just hope they don't make the same mistake as they did last time, with this trip.
And don't rush Elliott back.
No.
I think Joey Porter Jr. hopefully we'll be able to come back. We don't know for sure. But I wouldn't rush Elliott. Give him the 2 weeks to make sure this isn't a season-long problem.
Exactly. Well, Shannon, what do you have coming up next this week?
We'll have the Pump Your Brakes with Take Boy Fresh and Big G on Wednesday at 8. So look forward to seeing everybody there. And like I said, maybe we'll have some more news about some of these injuries and who might be back. But as you said before we started, I don't know of any major injuries the Steelers had this week. So that's always good.
That's always a plus. Guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. That way you're notified of all the shows that we do. We have shows that are recorded that come out multiple times out of the day. We have live shows every night for the most part. Including on Sundays, which is going to be usually the post-game show, if not the Q&A, depending on what's going on that day. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com for all the audio-only stuff and the articles that you don't want to miss. We're out of here, guys. With that being said, Shannon, take us out, my man.